Something hunts these mountains, shaped from myth. Formed by the spirit of the mountain man, he lives by the way he hunts. Born of the mountains, blood of the Indian, he survives by Hawken and longbow. He's alone, he's free, he's forged by the elements. Journey with the last of a breed, Sasquatch Mountain Man. There's always a hunter's moon in the sky above the wild lands where Laramy Miller treks. On his odyssey through the realm of his mountain men forebearers, Laramy has survived on powder smoke. The mightiest game of these territories has been his goal, testing a lifetime of skills and undaunted resolve, no more so than when face to face with the most powerful monarch of these mountains. Misfire, and now hell could be coming to breakfast. A small cap of copper and mercury is all that stands between Sasquatch eating or being eaten. Alive to tell the tale, Sasquatch journeys on, breaking trails that lead him through the country of legends, pursuing mountain lion with horses and hounds, to collect his prize with a feathered shaft launched from his longbow. Weather and White Death stalk Laramy in the northern reaches of the Louisiana Purchase as he stalks the stately elk, known to the Shawnee as Wapiti, the white-rumped one. Rifle, longbow, and trap, all part of Sasquatch's traditional toolkit. In the heavy timber of the one-time Oregon Territory, Laramy has to take a longer shot than he likes with his Hawken.
That was a far shot for the muzzleloader, but I think I hit him.
But hours on the track find only a few drops of blood before all sign ends. Now it's a new game, a new camp, and new chores.
That pot's got to get over 400, 450 degrees in order for that lead to melt. It's just a few steps. You heat up your lead, get it hot enough to where it's nice and smooth. You get your dipper, so you dip it in, put it in your mold, and then you pop your mold to smooth off the bottom. You got you a bullet.
The best bullets are made from lead type, so maybe the pen is mightier than the sword. Laramy Miller has come to Whitetail country, following trails pointing northeast to the territory of the deer. The fall is progressing, and the gray skies and rains are continual, the downpour turning the bark of the trees black. The deer, too, are showing the restlessness of the season.
Saw this nice 3.5-year-old 8-point. He was standing on the edge of this. We saw him from up top up here. We hurried up, all down. Been about 100, 150-yard shot from this point. Got here and he pulled a Houdini.
Even with the rain, the forest floor is noisy, making Laramy have to measure every footfall.
Wind got the switch and it's blowing that way. Some dog standing right here, she smelled this.
The bucks will be near the does adding more ears and eyes to detect Sasquatch.
Nice little canyon right here. We'll sit down, the wind's blowing pretty bad today, so they can't hear it very far away, but I'm gonna do a little grunt and rattling.
added to the rain muffles the sound of the rattling and grunting, so Laramy can only wait and hope.
Make me a worm pretzel.
Sasquatch is brought to you by Honda Power Sports. For great deals on gifts that go, it's go time at your Honda dealer.
Laramy Sasquatch Miller has ventured into Whitetail country. From the far west of the Oregon Territory, he has taken the trails heading northeast. And now in wind and rain, he hopes to call a buck into Hawken range.
Decided to sit along the edge of this opening right here and do a little grunting and rattling. For about 5 minutes, a little 8-point come in. He was curious as all heck. Boy, he sat there. He could see us sitting right on the edge of this. And he sat there and pissed on his back legs and rubbed them together. He didn't know what was making that grunt noise, but he knew there was something there. That's what it's all about, is getting close encounters like that. No matter if it's a 200-inch deer or a 2-inch deer. It's all exciting to me.
For the old mountain men whose survival hung on venison, a deer like this would have fallen already. But for a man called Sasquatch, there's also the consideration of ethics, which tells him that this buck has more years ahead of it to reach its full potential and full maturity.
Notice how he kept turning his head and then looking back real fast. It's just trying to get us to move.
For some mountain men, being unable to move was the greatest threat. Mountain man Raphael Carafel has found a frozen hell. Snow falls heavy on the trail, and Carafel's way is blocked by drifts. He pushes forward as far as his strength carries him, then burrows into the snow like an animal. Snow falls 8 days, and Carafel sees no game. Now his feet are frozen. He beats on them with his rifle butt and forces himself to stagger ahead for hours, but can only make 2 miles. Snowed in, he's stranded 41 days, shooting passing game, using flaming branches to fight off wolves that are trying to steal from him. The weather breaks, and Carafel reaches a settlement in 10 torturous days, losing half his blackened feet along the way. His only food, a drowned buffalo calf pulled from a river. Laramy Miller has not had to contend with snow here yet, but the wind and rain have been bad enough. The deer are plentiful, but Laramy still has to keep to his ethical standards.
Been sitting here about 4 hours. I've seen 4 deer. Deer an hour, I'll take that. Pretty cool day, probably in the upper 20s, low 30s. Wind blowing like crazy. We had a 2-year-old buck at about 10 yards. Then we just had a yearling doe at about 10 yards. That's a good sign. That yearling doe's all by herself. That means her mama kicked her off. Her mama's probably getting ready to come in to eat, so she weaned her and kicked her off. That'll keep the bucks up moving.
Being seen is not the problem, though, as the wind howls through the trees and threshes the leaf fall on the forest floor, putting the deer on edge. With darkness, the wind dies, and camp beckons.
Back in the day, the mountain men, they used mainly 50 caliber or bigger. A lot of them were ex-soldiers, and their rifles were 50 caliber flintlocks. Well, when the Hawken came out, that was the big craze. That was the mad rush. Everybody wanted to get themselves a Hawken, but they only made 300 of them. Well, less than 300 true Hawkens back in the 1800s. The first one came out in 1823. But the reason the Hawken was such a crave is because your other rifles had anywhere from 40 to 46-inch barrels on them. Well, when they brought the Hawken out, it had 30, 32, 34-inch barrels on it. A lot easier to aim. I mean, you imagine aiming a 4-foot barrel. That's not counting the gun. You got a gun that's 6 foot long. You're not going to be that accurate. Riding on a horse through all the brush up here in the mountains, they needed that shorter rifle. Plus, it helped them with the distance. You know, they could shoot out to 300 yards in. Not real accurate, but at 300 yards, they could kill an elk. They could kill a buffalo with a Hawken. Instead of having that whole 50 caliber flintlock where you never knew if the thing was going to go off.
Care and maintenance, gun oil, and elbow grease are constants in keeping your Hawken in firing order. It's the same care Laramy shows with his trap sets.
You know, in a set like this, what you're mainly going for is bobcat, pine marten, raccoon, you know, any of your smaller predators that are after meat.
What Laramy does not see is a big buck. Autumn in Whitetail country, and as Laramy walks softly on the leaf falls, the wind and rain lashes through the timber. To add to his chances of finding food, he sets his traps in the trees. Follows tracks, but head-high grass hides the deer. Time has now taken on the cadences of the wind and rain as Laramy continues to hunt for whitetail buck. But it soon becomes clear that he's not the only one in search of deer. Laramy is sharing these hunting grounds with other predators. The wind continues to blow. It makes the hunting only harder. It swirls the scents, and just its noise turns the deer skittish and afraid to move, especially with wolves in the country.
The way the wind's blowing today, I don't think them deer are gonna come out in this meadow. A lot of wolves around here, so the deer are pretty skittish. They're not gonna come out into this open because everything moves when they come out here. They're gonna stay in the thick stuff, so makes our job a little tougher.
I got my first gun when I was 6 years old. My dad told me he'd give me a nickel for every prairie dog tail I brought back. So I was awfully choosy on the shots I'd take because I didn't want that prairie dog getting down that hole.
Being limited to one shot at a time, it's the best training a rifleman can have. A lesson that carries over to Laramy's choice of the Hawken that takes half a minute to reload.
Well, we hunted in here the first day, and it was good. We saw a lot of deer. Decided to give it a little rest yesterday and went and scouted out another place. The wind was blowing real hard, so we're gonna come back and go set up here and sit here all day. And hopefully we get lucky. Sasquatch is getting itchy.
With the wind and the rain, will this be a buck that Laramy is going to be willing to take?
Make me a worm pretzel.
Sasquatch is brought to you by Honda Power Sports. For great deals on gifts that go, it's go time at your Honda dealer.
In the north woods of the Whitetail, wind and rain and heavy cover have made the hunting hard enough for Laramy Sasquatch Miller. And now, the presence of other hunters is only making it harder as he waits for the right buck to appear. The ethics of Laramy's way, the Sasquatch way, mean only natural clothes and blinds, no tree stands or shooting houses. And you only have to look to see the proof of how the Sasquatch way works. In this wind, Laramy can only hope that the deer will move enough to come by where he waits.
There's lots of deer in here. But all we saw today was a bunch of does, fawns, one young, 1.5-year-old buck. That's not what we're after.
Laramy's other hope for fresh meat today is his traps, but even they don't pan out. With no deer and empty traps, Laramy has only one solution for supper.
Look what I found. A cute little friend. I'm gonna fry this baby up. Make me a worm pretzel. When I was a kid, my uncle, he took us out into the mountains, me and a few of my cousins, showed us what to eat, what not to eat, made us eat grubs, showed us how to start a fire with flint, showed us how to build our own shelters. He told us, he said, if anything ever does happen, you never know, it's always good to be prepared. So I learned at a very young age how to survive in the mountains off of nothing. It's a worm pretzel. Juicy.
It dawns at last on a quiet day in Whitetail country. With the wind down, Sasquatch decides to push as high and as far as he can. Now, all that should be left is a single shot. For Sasquatch, this is one of those choosy shots he chooses not to take. For him, it's enough to watch this buck swim across the lake as its surface sparkles in the last light. He'll let this buck go to reach the far shore and climb out so he can simply enjoy the beauty of its running. This whitetail will make its way into some new part of the woods, and while it does, Laramy Sasquatch Miller will find his way back to his camp. And there, by firelight, he'll unroll an old piece of parchment as he plans his path down the plains country and the greatest prize for any mountain man.